welcome back. Thank you so much for rejoining what is proving to be a wonderful conversation. Our panel is here to continue to discuss vulnerability in the workspace. Tammy, Clarissa, Habiba, thank you so much for being here. Tammy, I just wanted to jump right back onto something that I was kind of thinking about in our last session. We speak about what this gives to the workplace, what this gives to the mothership, to the stakeholders, to everyone other than ourselves when we're vulnerable. What do we gain within the workspace? We know that, yes, trust is there, but as a person, we need to process stuff. We need to feel heard. I need to know that if I'm broken down, that at least one or two of the people around me are aware of the fact. What do we get from being vulnerable?
Well, I think it's important to know that we spend about 90,000 hours of our life, so about a quarter of our life working. And so that
God
means...
help us. Yeah, God help us.
So that means that we're probably going to spend more time with our work than we will with our families. And so it needs to be a place that we can have meaningful connections, because that's where we're spending most of our time.
Yeah. That's sobering, yeah, sure.
Clarissa, do you think, you know, having a vulnerable leader is more effective in the workspace?
I definitely think so, and I'm going to touch base on what we spoke about earlier about leaders also being just humans. So I think as soon as a leader opens up that door in terms of, I'm also vulnerable, I also have struggles, because as a leader, you're taking on a lot of your employees' emotions.
Oh, there's
if you
nothing
create that
like that
door of open policy to come and share. So I think in a workspace, you're dealing with all of that, plus your own emotions and your own vulnerabilities. So I think as soon as a leader can open up and show, you know what, I'm also vulnerable, it creates that connection and it creates an environment where employees can feel safe. Because you know what, we're all sharing this and we can all do this together.
Trust,
so it all
trust,
actually comes back to trust at the end of the day, which is the most important thing, I think.
And that goes up and down the chain, because our industry is like that. If we're a very lateral line of responsibility, so if anyone in this line makes a mistake, it can cost all of us. So we get that. Habiba, it is one thing to say, I'm going to be this person, I'm going to be soft in a workspace, and I'm going to help as many people as I can, but we still need to get the job done.
Yes.
And finding that balance can be quite difficult. So often that we see what we would consider feminine traits or motherly traits within a workspace being obliterated, shot completely to high heavens so that I can get the job done. How do you can you find that balance in your own working kind of space? Being an entrepreneur, somebody who presumably drives a lot of your own energy in that space. What works better for you?
I think ensuring that my cup is sorted.
Okay.
My cup isn't empty. My cup is basically able to assist others, but ensuring that I'm sorted.
How do you do that? How do you, have you said, is there a mechanism every day? I was going to ask, but that's a practiced mechanism, which is great.
Meditation, conversations, also feeding off other people's energies, for example, coming to the space and acknowledging where that person is. So you yourself, you need to make sure you know where you are before putting yourself in a situation that can go either way.
For sure, that's very responsible.
So, for example, if you know that this person is not having a good day at the moment, you have to be sure you're having a good day and it's not going to affect
Clarissa's busy thinking about a job to place you in, eh? I'm thinking we might lose you to the big professional world at some space, because you're talking like a leader. No, you really are talking like a leader right now, which is great.
Well, you are our panel. We always have our WhatsApp line open to our viewers. So we received a voice note from Nirmala. Good morning.
Good morning, Feel Good Expresso team. Mrs. Nirmala Devi, Murli of Gauteng. Yes, I would be very selective as to who I have as my deepest confidant. I could share every secret of my personal life to that person. But otherwise, no. You will not hear it all from me. Thank you. Have a blessed morning.
Nirmala, not in Nkomas, now in Johannesburg. We absolutely love her because she takes so much care to craft what she's saying. And I think sometimes we do need to stop and just think before we speak. And I speak to myself. This is very much a self-mantra. How damaging can an overshare at work be, Clarissa?
Sure. Can have some dramatic effects, long-term effects as well, I think. So, it's difficult in an environment where I think it's open-planned environment as well, where everyone is sharing between each other. And then it becomes, I think sometimes it becomes to a point where it's a bit joking. People start oh, but I'm not serious, it was just a
And
joke.
there's that one person sitting in the office
And there's
actually
that,
going
yes,
through
yes.
that right
So you
now.
always need to try and keep we had a conversation about it yesterday, trying to keep the fun in the workplace, to create that trust and to create that, but also, we also need to work hard and we also need to respect privacies and, you know, what people are going through without abusing the fun in that.
For sure,
you
yeah.
know.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, it is a balancing act. Yeah.
Tammy, with regards to a situation like that where someone had shared valuable information, I have someone close to me who shared with their boss. They had a trustworthy environment, the atmosphere was there, and shared intentions that they, as a family, were planning on moving abroad. And then COVID happened, and they never really saw that through. And that being said, the boss then told her boss, listen, this one's planning on moving, don't promote her. And then that had a backfiring effect. What would you recommend for, how can you trust your employer with that type of information, or is that best to be kept private?
I think that it depends on the person that you're working for, because if you sort of know and trust that they wouldn't share this, and you know that that relationship wouldn't happen, you can sort of share that. But I think you need to first suss it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Otherwise, this can impact you, and then what?
And remember, everyone's got an agenda. As much as you want to think, you might have an amazing boss like Habiba here, who you think is completely 100% behind you, but everyone has their own agenda. I get that. I'm going to throw a bit of a snake in the grass. I don't know what the real term is, but social media. Is Instagram an overshare? Is the fact that people within the work environment can have access to this? And I know, that's a slightly different conversation, but essentially you're opening up a part of yourself, a very personal side. Maybe it's, I mean, there was a news story of teachers in bikinis that school children that they are teaching have access to. The same speaks to a workplace environment. How much should we be aware of, say, our social media space when we are working in a professional environment? Maybe you want to start with
Very wary.
Very wary.
Very wary. I think social media has become your virtual CV, if that makes sense. I know everyone lately goes to social media first when you hear... Yes.
And it's laughable when you think of how little of yourself is actually represented in that slice of you, you know?
Yes, and I think also the fact that there is a private button. So if you do have a private account and you have a professional account, keep the private account private. And only have your personal circle on it. I think it got lost in translation with the amount of following and what...
Yeah, validation.
What is it? What can I do to get following? But if your lifestyle is not social media, then...
Why do you need it?
Yeah, basically. And also, you have full control of what you post on social media. I've also learned in the workspace, on the platform, for example, if you're only posting your work, you're not going to get as much following, but if you're going to add some, having breakfast somewhere, and all of a sudden, that gets so much views.
The more mundane, the better. Wow.
So the personal does sell, but you have
Again,
full
be strategic,
control. Yes, it's like having professional vulnerability then.
Okay.
But there is something very powerful in that, because that's something, again, a strategy that you can use when you need to as a manager, as a person within that system. You can lean on these tools. Guys, I've learned so much from you today. Thank you so much. From three very
Always
different
a pleasure.
lenses.
I know we have to wrap, but I just quickly feel like we need to ask Clarissa, from a recruiting point of view, I believe there are strategies and software that companies use to filter through social media. How important is it for people in the workspace to not put that stuff of their work environment online? Or is it best to just...
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, you as an employee need to make a choice of what your social media is presenting. And if you are using your social media for work purposes, then, like she said, try and keep things private or separate. And opinions should be, I understand that's your opinion, but on social media, it becomes a conversation. And then you need to look at, but if someone had to look at my profile, what am I representing my company? So then the company name starts becoming part of
Becomes a
your
part
social
of it.
media and your opinion. So it's very difficult. It's a very fine line. So, yeah, as you said, keep it private, what you need to keep private, because we do look at even private accounts when we start searching for candidates and what you present on your social profile. So even if it's a personal profile, I think keep it to a professional level if you're trying to apply for work, because that's the first place we go,
People
to get
will-
a sense of who you are.
Completely.
So,
That's why it exists. Maybe use it for what it's actually meant for, to put your best foot forward. I love it. Well, thank you so much to our amazing panel. Thank you for any of you who weighed in Numira. Thank you for your voice notes. We want you to choose the soft conversation online. Let us know if you value meaningful human connections in your workplace. We've been talking about the importance of building trust, making those connections. How much do you value that? We're going to continue, I think, this one online for a long time now. Hopefully it's got you thinking about your own vulnerability within your own workspace right now.
And then if you want to choose soft, you can use the Big Soleil Click 3 or Click 3 Sensitive to make sure you have soft, silky skin.